What if I told you that the secret to winning any confrontation isn't about arguing better, but about staying calm? And real power lies in not proving a point, but in not letting the moment pull you out of yourself. One Roman philosopher who served under one of the most dangerous emperors in history figured out how to remain calm even when his life was on the line. His name was Lucius Annaeus Seneca, and today we're unpacking how he mastered confrontation not by fighting back, but by mastering his own mind. Let's start with something familiar. You say one sharp word and instantly regret it. It wasn't a full argument, just a moment. But now the mood's changed. You try to fix it, but the tension lingers. Your chest tightened, your voice rose, and suddenly you weren't in control. We've all been there. In a confrontation with a friend, coworker, partner, it's all the same. Heart racing, breath short, you freeze and lash out. Later, you wonder, why did I react like that? It's not a weakness, it's your brain trying to protect you. It can't tell the difference between danger and discomfort. One harsh word, and your emotional brain takes over. Adrenaline surges, muscles tense, logic fades. You're not choosing, you're reacting. Before we go deeper, what's your biggest challenge when you're in the middle of confrontation? Is it staying calm, controlling your anger, finding the right words, or just not overreacting? Let us know in the comments below. Seneca knew this long before science explained it. He didn't use the word amygdala, but he understood what it felt like to be taken over by anger or fear. He described anger as a kind of madness, something that blocks clear thinking and makes people act against their own nature. He wasn't writing from a quiet life either. He lived in the heart of political danger, advising Emperor Nero, a man known for being unstable and violent. One wrong move could mean death or exile. And in the end, that's exactly what happened. Nero accused Seneca of plotting against him and ordered him to death, but Seneca didn't panic. He didn't beg. He calmly accepted his fate. He gathered his friends, spoke his final thoughts, and faced death with steady hands. That kind of peace doesn't happen by accident. It comes from years of practice. So the real question is, how do you build that kind of calm? How do you stay steady when the pressure hits? How do you keep your head when everything in your body is screaming at you to react? That's what we'll explore next. In his essay, De Tranquilitate Anime, Seneca called it Tranquilitas Anime, a calm and steady mind. Not emotionless, but focused and clear. And for him, the first step was simple. Know what's in your control and what isn't. That's where most confrontations go wrong, when we try to control how others speak, think, or react. But as the Stoic Epictetus put it, some things are within our control and some things are not. Seneca believed the same. He said we waste our energy trying to manage what's outside us, other people's tone, their behavior, their opinion of us. But real strength comes from managing ourselves, our thoughts, our breath, our words. When we keep our focus there, outside noise doesn't shake us easily. He also warned about what he called groundless fear. In a letter to his friend Lucius, he wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And that's exactly what happens before confrontations. We play them out in our heads, expecting the worst. We prepare for insults, judgment, disrespect, but half the time those moments never come. Seneca didn't say to ignore real problems, he just said, don't suffer before it's necessary. If something bad happens, face it when it does, not in advance. And if it never happens, you've saved yourself a lot of stress. But let's be real, just knowing this doesn't always help in the moment. Your heart still races, your voice still tightens. That's why Seneca shared another tool the Stoics often used, premeditatio malorum, or imagining the worst before it happens, not to panic, but to prepare. All things are familiar, nothing is unexpected. Everything falls within our reckoning. We ought to have assumed that some such event would happen. I was already prepared, not because I am a man of great strength, but because I had always been expecting that what happened might happen. Let's say you're heading into a tough conversation. Instead of expecting it to go smoothly, you picture things going wrong. The other person might interrupt, get defensive, or misunderstand you. Then you ask yourself, if that happens, how will I respond? Not to plan a speech, but to stay steady. That way, if things get tense, you're not caught off guard. You've already practiced staying calm. And that's something we often forget. You get to choose how you respond. You're not stuck in one way of reacting. Every moment of tension is a chance to practice being grounded. Seneca believed calm is something you build. Like strength, it comes from effort, and the practice doesn't start during the argument. It starts before and it continues after. Because what you do after a confrontation matters just as much. That's where his nightly habit came in. Each night, Seneca would quietly review his day. He'd think through conversations, moments where he lost his cool, moments where he stayed steady, and where his pride and anger got the best of him. But it wasn't to beat himself up. It was to notice what happened and learn from it. That kind of honest reflection gave him power over his reactions. He believed awareness, not judgment, was the first step toward control. In letters to Lucilius, he wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day. I conceal nothing from myself. I omit nothing. Why should I be afraid of any mistakes when I can say, 'See that you don't do this again, and this time I pardon you'?" That's how calm becomes a habit, not through force, but through understanding. Still, no amount of self-awareness will stop confrontations from happening. Seneca knew that life will test you. Some people will disrespect you, some will disappoint you, that's reality. But how you respond? That's your strength. And one of the strongest responses, Seneca believed, was forgiveness. Not because the other person always deserves it, but because you deserve peace. He wrote, "Who needs forgiveness should the same extend with readiness." In other words, if you expect to be forgiven for your own flaws, you should be ready to do the same for others. It's not easy, but it's freeing. Forgiveness cuts the chains. It stops you from dragging someone else's mistake around in your own mind. It lets you move forward without bitterness. And over time, it becomes less about the other person and more about who you want to be. That's also why Seneca warned against chasing approval. He said we spend too much energy trying to please the crowd, trying to look good, trying to be seen a certain way. But that only pulls us further away from ourselves. The Stoic sage pays no attention to what others consider shameful or miserable. Think about that. How many arguments start because we're trying to protect our image? How often do we get defensive not because we've been hurt, but because our pride took a hit? But when your value doesn't depend on looking right or sounding smart, you stop reacting from ego. You act from principle, and that's the difference. When your self-worth comes from within, other people's opinions lose their power. You don't need to win. You just need to stay clear. Because clarity is contagious. When someone stays calm in the middle of a storm, everyone around them feels it. You've seen it happen. In meetings, in groups, intense family moments, one person keeps their tone steady, and suddenly the whole room changes, voices lower, people pause, the atmosphere settles. It's not about control, it's about presence. And there's real science behind it. Our brains are wired with mirror neurons, tiny circuits that copy the emotions of those around us. It's why anger spreads fast, but it's also why calm does too. So when you slow your speech, steady your breathing, and hold yourself with calm energy, other people pick up on it, even if they don't realize it. And slowly, without trying to dominate or convince, you start to lead, just by staying grounded. And while Seneca's approach was all about restraint and preparation, not every philosopher agreed. Aristotle, for example, believed that anger could be useful. In his Nicomachean Ethics, he argued that anger, when controlled, could serve justice. The key was to aim it at the right person for the right reason at the right time. Diogenes, on the other hand, would confront people bluntly, without worrying how it made them feel. He leaned into directness, even confrontation. Then there's Marcus Aurelius, who, like Seneca, valued emotional control, but focused more on duty, responding to conflict as a servant of the greater good. Seneca believed calm wasn't about being cold, it was about showing strength. It was about leading with presence, not pressure. When emotions ran high, he anchored the moment by staying steady, not reacting. To him, the goal wasn't to win the argument, it was to stay true to who he was. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. And one way we waste it? By getting pulled into drama we could have avoided, by reacting without thinking, by turning small tensions into full-blown battles. So the next time someone tests you, take a breath. Ask, is this worth my energy? What kind of person do I want to be right now? Because confrontation reveals your growth. It shows what still unsettles you and gives you the chance to choose better. That's how Seneca lived, through exile, through betrayal. Even in his final moments when he was ordered to die, he faced it with calm. He wasn't perfect, but he practiced. He reflected. He kept coming back to his values. That's what true calm is. Not shutting down, but standing strong. Not reacting, but responding with purpose. And now, that calm is yours to build. If this message helped you, take a moment to let it settle. And if you think someone in your life could use it too, share it forward. One calm mind has the power to shift many. For more ideas like this, subscribe to the channel, and remember, you don't need to win the argument. You just need to stay rooted in who you are. The rest will follow.